Good day. Just a second. We're going online. There we go. Sounds ready to go too. Okay. Thank you. Got it. Mute this. So. Okay, mute the site. Ready to go. We're ready to go. We're live. But I think this is kind of pointless. If I close this, are we still live? Yes, we are. Okay, great. Hey, everybody. Welcome to YouTube, everyone. We're about to do our first live show in quite some time, and we hope you enjoy it. We got a lot to talk about tonight, including the NBA playoffs. There's certainly much to discuss. And on top of that, of course, some incredible deaths in sports. We're getting all of it tonight. Hope you enjoy it.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting. Oh, let him play.
You bet one bone to win 19. What site do you use where you can actually bet $1?
They let you do 50-cent bets.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, literally, like he dropped Superman down like the drain, comes out, like, God damn it, Superman. I don't know, honey. I don't know where he got that from.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City,
part of the DITCOW Sports Network.
Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big basketball show. Good to have you with us in the Dave in the City studios in sunny Southern California. We hope that you are having a good summer, and I need to take a moment here to send, because I'm a clown, I forgot to send the link to Kevin on the Cape for this program tonight. So I gotta just give a second here, send the link, and then do this whole thing. So give me a second and I'll do that. But I'm thankful for all of you here joining us tonight. It really is fun. And I think that was so stupid that I didn't do that. But tonight what we're going to do on this program is we're going to have we're going to talk about a lot of stuff in regard to sports. Joining us on this program that we're going to be doing live on YouTube, as you can see. You can comment on YouTube too. You can look into all the scenarios. We're going to be live chatting during the Clippers Mavericks NBA semifinal round game. And we're going to also talk about some of the recent deaths in sports. It was really a tough spot. I was very, very sad to see that some of the big names have died. It started with Lute Olson about a week ago. He was great. I mean, he coached the University of Arizona for many years. He was truly terrific. And just a shame that he's gone. It really is. So I'm sorry to see that. Then a couple days later, Friday to be exact, last week, the great Chadwick Boseman died. I couldn't believe that one either. Just unbelievable, because he was Black Panther. He was so good as Black Panther. And before that, he played Jackie Robinson in the Jackie Robinson biopic 42. Pretty good movie. I like that movie as well. He was in a bunch of other productions, but then he reprised his role as Black Panther in Avengers Endgame. And that was a terrific movie as well. And it really felt like he was just getting started. Turns out he was battling colon cancer for 4 years, and he died at the age of 43. Really young. Just incredible. Hard to believe, really, when you think about it. And then in the last 7 days, more big deaths in the sports world. The great, unbelievable John Thompson Jr. Everybody called him Big John in the Big East, and the Big East is not big without Big John. And he was really great. The guy who recruited and coached Patrick Ewing, the guy who recruited and coached Allen Iverson. But beyond just the coaching credentials, he made men, and he was really great at ushering the strength and the values of the people that he recruited. And this was huge for Black communities because he was one of the they always say like he was the first black coach to win a championship, black coach to do this and that, and he didn't like to be looked that way. He just wanted to be a coach. But the fact remains is that he meant so much to communities of color, people of color, and we will never forget John Thompson. Funny guy too. He used to do games on TBS and TNT, so he was on Turner for various things, and it was always fun to listen to him talk because he always had some great stories, and so just a tremendous personality, and he really is missed. Like we had not heard from him for a long time, and he lived a good life, but sad that he's gone. Sad that Lou Olson's gone. Sad that Chadwick Boseman's gone. And for the Mets fans and all of baseball, a great loss yesterday when Tom Seaver died at the age of 75. I mean, he was, as they say, the greatest Met. I don't think anyone disputes that. He was as good as it gets. He won the Mets a World Series in 1969. And he and Kuzman took the Mets to another World Series in 1973. Our guest coming up is going to can confirm or deny that. Just amazing, and got his 300th win when he was a member of the White Sox. Did it at Yankee Stadium. 1985 was the year, and it was just an incredible, decorated career for Tom Seaver. So just a terrible series of events, and just sad to see so many greats leave us these last 2 weeks. A lot of these guys were before my time. Chadwick was definitely not. I mean, he was in our time. He is in our time, and now he's gone. That was a tough one. That's as shocking as of an entertainment death as you're going to find, because there was no indication that he was even sick. Then you find out that he was keeping that from us for all this time. He was fighting colon cancer, or was it prostate? I don't know, but still, incredible actor. He's so good. Can't believe he's gone. And the other ones are, they're a little older, so maybe it's not completely surprising that they're gone. Seaver was battling, I think he was battling dementia in the last couple of years, so not the biggest surprise, but it's still sad. It's sad when you see somebody that important go, and 4 such people left us in the short span of 10 days. It really is too bad. So with that, we say rest in peace. We'll have more to say about all these guys as we go along. And now let's bring in our 2 guests on the program so far. And we're going to start. I see you right now. This is great. We're going to start with our good friend, Kevin. Going back on the Cape. How's it going, buddy? What's new with you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. How's it going?
Sweet. I just totally worth it just to see your hairdo.
You're not going to believe this, but I had a haircut. That's the most amazing part about all this. I actually had a haircut in the middle, and it still looks like this.
That's not true. So you weren't going to touch this one, but speaking of, so you went to Nancy Pelosi's salon with her and got a haircut during this?
I knew you were going to squeeze that in there. I knew it.
Can't believe you guys.
Was just a matter of time.
Self-entitled millionaires. Unbelievable.
No, you're right. I mean, there's no question. I mean, I just I haven't read up on the whole thing, but that's not a surprise to me. It really
But
isn't.
you will also be surprised that I also got a haircut.
Oh, is that right?
But I did it myself. I didn't have to go anywhere.
Would you say the challenge level was large in that haircut?
I actually did it while Cody was taking a bath, and he was fascinated by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. It looked good. I mean, I got to give it to you. I mean, it looks pretty good. It's pretty good stuff.
This is what you get now, man. You just shave it off, save $20, whatever. What's going on with you? What are you doing?
Well, I am deep into my degenerate lifestyle, but at this point, it's not so much like straight up gambling. It's like gambling on actually, and it's fantasy sports gambling at this point. And in fact, I want to introduce you to to our other guest tonight, and that would be our friend Oh Baby, who can I use your real name? Obes? Can I use a real name on the program?
Sure.
But yeah, okay.
Can you hear me?
He would be known as Jordan in Georgia somewhere. I forget. Are you near
Not
Atlanta
anymore.
at this point?
I'm back in New York City now.
Oh, you're back in New York. Okay, cool. Cool. Well, welcome to the show. I'm sorry it took so long for me to get you on. Bad job out of me, but it's good to have you. How's it going?
It's all good. I don't have a fancy podcast microphone, so that's why I'm not going on video. I don't want to feel self-conscious about it here.
All right, no sweat, no sweat. Well, Kev, the reason that I brought that up as far as the daily fantasy sports is this guy right here, oh baby, aka Jordan in New York, is on the roll of rolls. He has dominated all of our board FanDuels in the last like.
I can do that, so he doesn't see it. So
that's actually pretty funny.
this thing is awesome. You can still hear it, right?
Yeah, you can still hear fine.
Perfect.
Although I might wake up the family, but whatever. Oh, it took me an hour to get that kid to sleep, so maybe I should not scream.
Yeah. But yeah, that microphone is pretty slick. We talked about that in the last show that we did way back in, when was that? June, I guess. Was it July? Can't even remember. But
No idea.
it was July something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So Jordan has just been on the roll,
Okay.
and I think what's fascinating is just the consistency in which it's been done. Now, I realize my mush is so powerful that maybe by his inclusion on this program,
How much has this man been earning? Because you're going to need to write him a check.
Not enough on $5 and $10 contests, but it's been like you said, it's been a good run. But like I've said on the board, it's variance, right? It's gambling, it's sports. You have good runs, you have bad runs. So I've gotten a little lucky lately. I think I've mentioned a couple of times where 5 minutes beforehand, just on a whim, I change my lineup and it goes off, right? So it's luck. It'll end, but it's a fun ride.
I say savor it, Jordan. I really do, because it happened to Santoro, just a few months ago. I think it happened to me in the summer of last year. And so when you get on a roll like that, I mean, you got to soak it in. So I mean, that's my advice. Like, enjoy and just keep doing what you're doing. It's obviously working.
I'm trying. The golf's kind of even more random than anything else. Like, it's so weird week to week in these golf tournaments where, one week a guy will be hitting 20, 25 foot putts on every other hole. And the next week he can't make a, 6-footer to save par and stuff like that. So there's just so much randomness in that sport, I think, more than anything else. But night to night in baseball too. I mean, one night you go 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and a double, and the next night you strike out 3 times. So you got to be lucky.
Yeah, definitely luck involved. I've seen it, like the same guys that you put into a FanDuel like the night before who do nothing can end up putting up like 50 points the next day, like the same 4 guys. It's really incredible. So, you can never count on anything happening when you talk about daily fantasy or betting or really anything. And I didn't see the score because I was setting up all of the equipment, but I saw that the Mets won the game tonight. That was a crazy win.
They did, yeah. I was following mostly on my phone, and then I guess it went to extras, and people were laughing about it. That I guess the Yankees in the first. Well, I think first of all, Chapman gave up a game-tying home run.
Yeah, pull the Diaz, right?
Am I right? Yeah, I guess he should have beamed him in the head instead, as is his want to do. And then the Yankees top 10, they had the runner on base, and somehow he got doubled off on like a fly ball or a line drive to the outfield or something. So that took the runner off second and basically ended the inning. And then bottom 10, I think it was the first guy up, Pete Alonso homered to walk it off.
Look at that.
So he's had I think he's had a pretty good last week or so. I think he had a home run or 2 in some other game. I'm not sure, but hopefully he's picking it up, although the season's about to be over now.
I think he had a home run against the Orioles. I think that was yesterday. And I know that because of my card, but I know that.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I mean, to me, baseball is sort of a fake season this year. So
I know we talked about that. Yeah, I'm not gonna go that far. I know that Andy says that. I know you said it, and a lot of people said it. Kev, will you talk about? Well, actually, before we get into any of that, I want to talk about Mr. Tom Seaver, because this is a huge deal. And Kev, I guess the first question for me is, do you remember watching him pitch at all? Because
Not at all.
no, okay, so yeah, me
I'm not that
neither.
old, Dave. I mean,
You're
he
right,
was
'cause,
out.
like,
He was out in '86.
yeah,
That was his
exactly.
last year, and I always find it cool. I didn't even know this at the time. I was watching baseball in '86, but that he was on that Red Sox team.
Oh, is that right?
He was part of the
Yeah.
team that lost to the Mets in '86. I don't think
Wow.
he was a factor. I think he pitched in a few games towards the end. I'm not
Mhm.
entirely sure because I was only 9, I think, at that time.
Right.
But yeah, another
Yeah.
one bites the dust. That's what happens, man.
Yeah, these are big names that are dying. I mean, I know you can speak to the two college basketball coaches, and you
A
know,
little bit more, yeah, probably. They're a
yeah,
little more in our era.
oh sure. It's sad to think about that. You know, we grew up seeing them, and coaching in doing going to Final Fours and things like that. I mean, they were great coaches. It was just really incredible.
I think Seaver and Lute Olson both had some kind of dementia, Alzheimer's, right? I think they
Yeah,
both
I
had.
definitely Seaver. I would not be surprised if Lute was in that group as well. I can't say if he was or wasn't, but it would not surprise me. So
I was never really blown away by him. I mean, they had really good teams, obviously, but
mhm.
I don't know. As far as like a generation defining or that kind of a coach, I never really went too crazy with him. They were sort of like UCLA light, sort of, out west. Didn't they sort of they started to come on the scene.
Yeah, it's like kind of in
Like
the early
it was,
'90s, right?
yeah, there was a couple of good, like the '80s though. They were sort of like UConn in the East, where
Mhm.
they were kind of, the university is a big place, but they got one or two big guys, I mean, kind of like who just died also, Cliff Robertson.
Oh,
He was like
thank you. I forgot
he
about
was like
Yeah, he was a big deal.
UConn. He was like UConn's
Yeah,
first star, and then
he was a Portland star after that, and
yeah.
yeah,
But John Thompson, I think, is on a different level with what he did to the
yeah,
sport, and
absolutely,
for
absolutely.
that. I mean,
Trailblazer, I would say.
yeah, I mean, he was pretty much high school coach, just kind of. Well, he played at Providence, and then went on to coach high school and took a job at this pretty much all white preppy college outside of DC, and just did it his own way. And one of those people who never stopped doing it his own way. He was cool in that sense. He didn't give a shit. It was,
it's true.
you were going to do it this way. And as much crap as he got about, Prop 48 and all those different things, he saved a lot of kids' lives, man. He did a lot of good for a lot of kids who had nowhere to go. And he was also a hell of a basketball coach. He was a really good player too, but
I remember him
he
as a
took
player. That's interesting.
well, yeah, no, I don't think
I bet you didn't
all
either.
three of us did. I think that was peach baskets and stuff back then for him.
So maybe Tread knows, but we don't know.
Yeah, he would know. But yeah, and he was great on TV too. Or radio. I think he did radio. I remember
he did radio a lot. Yeah, I remember like I would be driving around during like a NCAA tournament, and then he would be doing like color commentary on radio. Yeah, he did do a lot of radio.
He was really good. He was really good on as a game analyst, I thought.
Yeah, funny too. Like he's a funny guy. I guess I mentioned that earlier. Like he's a really interesting personality.
These basketball coaches have so many funny stories, man. I mean, I used to go to those basketball camps, like pretty good ones when I was in high school, and just I love hanging out with the coaches more than the other kids, and they just have a lot of when you travel as much as they do, and you're dealing with teenagers for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. They've got a lot in that bag of tricks, stories to tell, and I mean, even the hard asses like Thompson and Bob Knight would crack you up with stories.
That's actually right. I know you're a Bob Knight guy, which is funny because we go back and forth on that.
Oh, I know. I mean, when I was working in sports, journalism stuff, the few times we got to cover him, and then some of the stuff. Yeah, no apologies. I'm a huge Knight fan. So, but same thing with Thompson and all those kind of hard asses from there back in the day. My dad
was
a
hard.
ass,
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because he was not. I wouldn't say necessarily he was a player's coach, right?
No, and you're talking about Thompson?
Yeah.
No, I mean actually, for whether or not people want to believe, they would always tease that Patrick Ewing, went to basket weaving class. That was like the big thing back then. Like, how did Patrick Ewing graduate Georgetown? Well, I have no idea. I have a lot of friends who are complete F-ups and stoners, and they got degrees. So whether or not that's here nor there, but 97 or 96% of the people who went to Georgetown under Thompson graduated. Some insane
Pretty
number.
amazing.
Like look at Tarkanian. His graduation rate was like in the 30s.
Right.
And at UNLV, which you can,
The bar is not.
we've
high
all
anymore,
been
but-
to Vegas. We all
Yeah.
know it's not. It's like when my friends or friends, no offense to them, but my friends, when they get all excited, like, oh, come over to little Joey's 8th grade graduation. And I'm like, he graduated from middle school, a public school. Does we really need a party for that? Like, how hard is this? He's
Yeah.
not going to like, Boston Latin or one of these prep schools or they're
For sure.
so anyway, Knight, same thing. As much as he's a dick, he graduated everybody outside of like Isaiah Thomas, and I think there was another kid who got in a car accident. Like there was like 3 kids in all that year in Indiana that didn't graduate under Knight.
That's impressive. Yeah. And so quite a legacy, certainly. And man, guys, we're gonna miss all of them. That's really something. Is Bob Knight still alive? I think he
Bob
is,
Knight
right?
is still alive. He's
Yeah, I thought so.
relatively young, but
Mhm.
the last public appearance he had was a little shaky, but so is Joe Biden's. So whatever. I think Knight's 75. He's in that
Yeah.
he's in that era.
I
He's
can
in
respect that
era of
comment.
that old generation of
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, I told you I saw Dylan in November,
Mhm.
December in at the Beacon.
Right? Yeah.
And then the first 2 songs, I was like, oh my God, this guy's gonna have a stroke on stage. He was just on the mic. He kind of didn't move. He was like your old kind of uncle, frozen. And then he was just working out the kinks. And then by the 3rd song, he's on the piano and he's dancing around and he's, playing to the crowd and just killing it.
Mhm.
So, you get into the 70s, if we're lucky to get there, we'll probably be doing the same thing.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think we're all in pretty good shape. I haven't seen no baby in a while, but I know the last time I was with him, you won't believe this, Kev.
He sounds
you
like
remember-
he's in good shape.
I think it's safe to say he's probably fine. But
I do
Jordan,
have a good family. Like when I think about that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
I am lucky to have good family genes. Like all the grandparents lived into their 90s, some well into their 90s, and not too many problems until the last couple of years, which is hard to avoid anywhere. So
right.
and we're all tall, skinny people as well in our
Did they?
family.
I was going to say. I was just about to ask you. Was there like a common thread? Is it just they were kind of underweight? Was the common thread with everybody that lived?
Yeah, under to normal, I guess I would say. I mean, I'm probably considered underweight, certainly for being 6'2", 6'3", whatever. But yeah, I think that's part of it.
That's
all
interesting for
pretty
me. 'Cause
thin.
yeah, I've had a lot of health issues, and I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of days ago about how everyone has those stories of my Uncle Joe smokes a pack and he's 95, and my uncle whatever eats red meat. There's these anecdotal stories, and you go to these old folks' homes, and there's no fat people. there are people who drink a gallon of wine every night until they're 95, but there's the really heavy people, which is part of my background. They don't last as long. It seems like that's a bigger risk factor than some of those other things to me. I mean, obviously we know cancer and with smoking and all that kind of stuff, but people don't give enough credence to being overweight, not just at your weight, but it's just the tremendous amount of people who are just too heavy. You just can't take it till your body can't carry that until your 80s and 90s.
Yeah, you're right.
So you
Yeah,
keep
I know.
that with winning the FanDuel and keeping skinny, you're gonna just live forever.
It's gonna be an awesome. I'm gonna be plugging in those lineups when I'm 95 at the old folks' home.
Yeah, and you're like, and you're going like, can the Mets not be in 4th place again?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
what the hell?
Fernando Tatis the 4th or 5th will be
Yes. Oh my goodness.
hitting
Yeah.
grand slams in the up 7 runs or whatever the heck that fake controversy was.
Yeah. No, I read that story. I haven't seen any sports, but I try to read some of the articles. But yeah, I saw that. Like, why was everyone mad? Because somebody decided to throw a meatball down and he decided to deposit it 400 feet away. And he's like, what is he, like 20?
Yeah, I mean, Dave will know the details better, but yeah, I mean, the Padres were up, what, 7, 8 runs in the 8th
They're up a
inning,
lot.
bases loaded, 3-0
Mhm.
count, and he swung.
And it's like the argument, the complaint was that he decided to bother swinging. Like, why would you worry about that? It's just the most annoying thing to be mad about. It's like,
It's
so
almost,
sheern.
it's almost as like there's just, it's become too sensitive now. Even like,
Yeah.
Dude, you throw a strike, get ahead. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly.
If I would have just died and went to heaven to get a meatball at some point, I could never, I couldn't hit the ball out of the infield practically. You get a 3-0 pitch right down the plate. I don't care if I had 7 take signs.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna throw that bad a pitch, and like, what do you really want me to just sit there and not just take it the pitch? It's such a strange thing to be upset about. It's like you're asking players basically to not play. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. I never even understood that, especially after you get to a certain age. When you're a kid, it's fine, but even like in college, if even a basketball team is up a lot, oh wow, they keep shooting threes. Well, that's because that's all they do. So go out and stop them.
Yeah.
I'm like, get over it.
No, but seriously, Jordan, I mean, when you saw that whole thing break down, how much did you laugh when you first saw what the grievance was, and just the idea that there could even be like retaliation for it? It's like, this is ridiculous. Like, why are we bothering getting annoyed about this?
I just don't get it from these managers. Like, I mean, if you think the game's over, why aren't you calling your team off the field in the 7th inning, right? You're still going
Right.
out there playing.
That's a great point.
So, yeah, and we've seen, are they rare? Of course, but we see 7, 8, 9, 10 run innings. They happen. Do they happen every night? Of course not. But I mean, the game's never over. So that's generally my reaction in these situations is, I mean, I think it's partly managers just defending their teams and kind of having their backs and stuff like that. They don't want to see their pitchers, get rocks for 15 runs in a night. But yeah, it's silly. I mean, forfeit the game if you think it's over.
I'm curious, Dave, if you know more about this. Did the manager or whoever, the pitcher, get pissed off and say something first, or were they asked a question? Was it like the reporter who decided
to me like they were asked a question? I thought, it's interesting because I was watching that game in real time. Like, I actually had it on. I just happened to have the game on. It's on my MLB TV account, and I was watching it. Guy hit, Tatis hits a grand slam. I did not think anything about, oh, should he have swung the bat in this situation? It's like, why would you even get to that point in your head? So it does seem to me like the manager made a big deal out of it more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak for even some of the athletes I covered, I think, a little bit, but I mean, even for me who played a little bit, but nobody likes to walk. We like to swing. You like to hit. Like,
yeah.
And there's bases loaded though. Is that what you just said? He hit a grand slam.
Bases were loaded.
So he can't go anywhere. I mean, who wants to walk around? That's boring. It's actually more insulting and demoralizing to the other 8 guys on your team if you start walking guys in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would always hear that. Just like, let them put the ball in play and let us try to get them out. Don't walk everybody. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly. It's like, so do you want to take the pitch and then just walk in a run? Like, it's almost the same thing. It just seemed to me like he's making excuses for a shitty performance by this reliever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately what my takeaway is from that moment. And to carry that in and make people even talking about it the next day, it's like, this is so much to do about nothing.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think part of it's just guys showing publicly that they have their team's backs, I guess. That you gotta, they feel they have to do that as part of being a manager or coach, I suppose.
It would have been way better. It would have been way better if that was A-Rod. They would have just shut the sport down.
Wait, you mean as a manager or just the one that did it?
No, it's the guy who hit the home run.
Oh, yeah, that would definitely shut the
like, you tool.
There would be so much stink about it.
It does say something about like who does it too,
That's true. That's true.
Well, is that hateable A-Rod from 10, 15 years ago, or
Yeah, I think
everybody
that's what he's
loves
talking about,
A-Rod
yeah.
from today? Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
A-Rod
A-Rod, I
today.
mean, A-Rod's turnaround in the public image is like 180 degrees from
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Kev, I told you about that a few months ago. Remember that?
I think you predicted that before a few months ago about his just, I don't know. It's like the public, yeah. What our man just said about the 180 turnaround. It makes me annoyed at the public for falling for this. He is one of the most genuous characters I've ever come across. Like nothing that comes out of his mouth, I believe. Nothing. He was as or worse than a politician. I believe
Maybe he
nothing.
should run
that
for
man-
office then.
And yeah, he probably will.
Maybe.
Where does he?
You're-
I mean, he's
He
in
could
Florida.
probably win somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably in Florida, like everybody else, with the
Yeah.
no sale income tax or whatever, state tax. But yeah, he could probably win. Did he went to Miami? Didn't he? Or did he go? He came straight out of high school. He came straight out of high school, I think.
I think so. 'Cause
Yeah, I
he,
think
he,
so.
he was in the league when he was like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
So it's like, I couldn't imagine him playing college in that scenario. But
But he's
Yeah, no,
somehow he's somehow affiliated with Miami somehow. Like
I think
he's
he
been
grew
at
up there.
games. Oh, okay.
Played high
So there you
school
go.
there, I think. Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
All
he's
right,
from, I believe.
so there you go. He'll be the mayor of South Beach someday.
could happen. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's a wild time. It is a wild time.
Keep him off of O'Baby's team, that's for sure. Of owning that team.
Oh,
Don't do it.
owning the man. No, it looks like Steve Cohen is the man.
Is that really? Okay.
I think so.
What do you think is your confidence level on that, Jordan? Like, what do you see as far as like, do you feel like it's a 9 out of 10 chance that this goes through or this happens, or what's your
That's what
what's
it
your feel?
seems like from reading. I don't read day in and day out about it, but it sure seems like it. If not just because he's got billions and billions and can pay up, but everything you read seems to indicate that they have to sell. Like they have so much debt and they're in some pretty dire financial straits, supposedly, that they almost don't have an option but to sell, is kind of how it's portrayed in some of the articles you read. So
Yeah.
I think it's going through just based on what folks are saying and writing.
Well, thanks for our buddy there to mention that. So, because it just got me to look up really quickly, because I haven't been following any of this. But the first headline I see is Alex Rodriguez reportedly fuming over Mets sale to Steve Cohen. That makes me so happy. That literally makes me so happy. And there's a picture of him looking, I don't know, he looks kind of like, you remember, Dave, you might even remember like Luther Vandross?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, the picture of Alex Rodriguez, he's kind of bloated. He looks a little Luther Vandross in this picture.
Is he wearing like the white type? I've seen the picture, yeah, where he looks like
Yeah.
that, and he's got like the white tux on or something.
This
That's
is
right.
he's
and
got like
even more so
a
it's that.
blue pinstripe suit with these glasses. He looks
Yeah,
a little odd.
yeah.
But yeah, this says he lost out and he's fuming, which who the hell knows what even that means? Well, like, who cares? What is A-Rod fuming going to do? Yeah, that's pretty cool. He says this article is Bleacher Report. It says the final bid was $2.35 billion.
That's
Which
only
is-
half of what the Dodgers paid for their team. The Guggenheim Group paid $4 billion.
Wow,
About $4 billion. I think that's
unbelievable.
right. If you look at, we can look that up, but I believe that's right.
He's saying he's convinced that the Mets leaked their offer so that Cohen could bid more.
I don't know, but I mean, everything I know about the Cohen bid says that it's going to be a good ownership group. We just got to hope that that's the truth. We'll see how it goes down.
Well, it probably can't be worse.
Yeah, you're right. By default, it can't be.
Now, Mets fans in general would say, yeah, just watch. Anything could get worse. But
Yeah.
Is this guy has he been on the record, or does anyone know his deal about, is he like a straight, we're going to spend what we make kind of thing? Or is it going to be the Yankees where we're just going to spend no matter what just to get the best players and beef up the farm system, beef up the international scouting and all that kind of stuff, or is it kind of like the Phillies where they're like, okay, we're only going to our payroll is going to be this because this is how much we make, kind of thing?
I don't know that he's on the record either way. I don't know that people really know much about him, even though he has been a minority owner. He's been a part of the ownership group now for a few years, I believe, a minority owner, 10% or whatever. But I don't think he's on record either way. I think people assume that, they see net worth of, billions and billions that
Right.
he's going to spend. But I guess you don't know. That's a good point. You don't know until he gets in there.
Yeah, it's tough to really evaluate before you actually see it. You see the ownership, and I didn't even have a feel for like what Guggenheim Partners was going to do with the Dodgers until they actually took the team, and it's been great. We've been very, very blessed.
Smart.
Yeah. No, and I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you can have all the billions, you gotta hire the right, president and GM, and
Yep.
you gotta do things right all throughout the organization. You gotta
And
get
you
a little
can't-
lucky too at the end of the day in terms
That's
of hitting
true.
on prospects. But I think money helps always, right? It helps
Yep.
you get to
Yeah.
sign international guys, you get to set up, camps around the world and in the Caribbean. You get to gloss over mistakes. To me, that's the big part of the Yankees and all their money over the years. It's not so much always getting these amazing guys, but the Yankees can go throw a 7-year, $114 million contract out there. The guy sucks, and they just say, okay, we'll go fill the hole somewhere. We'll go do something else to kind of make up for it, which not a lot of teams can do.
That's an unbelievable point. That's what people I think miss all those years, is that be able to absorb those mistakes. Like what is like Kevin Brown's and Carl Bobano's and these mistakes that would have, any mid-range team, let alone a small market team, the mid ones, that are in good sized cities, Dave, the San Diegos and
Absolutely.
those they would never come back from that kind of stuff. But
It's true.
and baseball is the one thing they just said at the end of that article, said he would, if he gets approved, he would be the richest owner of any major league team, like independent wealth, whatever.
Mhm.
So good for the Mets, man. That is good news, because
What they need.
forget Fred. I mean, getting the son out of there, that's a must.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the change in ownership is going to be huge for that team. And I can take it from me, the Dodger fan. It made a world of difference going from Frank McCourt to this new group. It's amazing. Just night and day.
Yeah. People still
Really
getting
amazing.
knifed in the parking lot.
Oh, they got cops over there now.
Okay.
It's bad. I mean, they're not even have people go to the games anymore, so it's not an issue today. But
It's true. That would be tough. Gang fight breaks out when there's no fans. I wonder if
that was a rough time, though. There's no doubt. I never attempt to defend that. That was a rough time.
there was a bunch of
When was
times. There was a bunch of times when every like month you would hear of something bad coming out of the Giants Dodgers rivalry. It was brutal for a long time.
It was.
Oh yeah, well there was the fan. Yeah, I mean now that you mention it,
There's awful stories.
That was like the peak right there, or the nadir, however you want to look at it. It was just 2000. Yeah, Brian Stowe. Yeah, that was just
yeah.
I was ashamed to be a Dodger fan that year. Like it was just like I just ashamed to be a fan of that team that year. It's just so awful. But let me introduce the fourth panelist tonight, including myself, and that would be Santoro in New Jersey. And Toro, we've got the union between you and Oh Baby and Kev.
There's a union.
Union.
We're in a union.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. How's it going tonight?
My video up?
No, but it's okay. The audio is more important. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, here you go. A different room. You were in a different room the last podcast we did. How's it going?
I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm going to introduce you to a couple people. Number one, I'm going to introduce you to the junk man.
This is
the
awesome.
guy that this is Santoro. I don't know if you've seen him.
I can read his name. It's right on the thing.
Yeah. No, I meant, but have you seen him post before?
Oh, no, I don't stalk at the board anymore.
Okay. But
yeah,
this
I was,
is the
I
famed
was wondering where you've been.
I guess the best response is a 22-month-old.
No.
Takes up
Enough
all my
said.
free time.
Enough said.
He's sleeping now, but we'll yeah, it's pretty much all morning. Yeah, it's a lot. And we're having another one. So
Oh boy.
there we go. Let them all in. Let them all in.
Salvo, did you put that on the board or at all, or on any social media?
I don't even
Kev?
know if I haven't. I don't think I've been on there in a long time.
Then this is the break for everybody here. If you're watching the program tonight, listening to the program, Kev's having a second child, guys.
Well, I'm not having anything, but
no, your wife is actually.
yeah.
But the family is expecting a second
Congratulations.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, why
Thank
not,
you.
right?
Congratulations for sure. That's awesome. It should be an exciting time. And
yeah.
We're really happy for you. Yeah, seriously.
And it pretty much cements the dream is still alive. I'm gonna be a stay-at-home dad for who knows now. Like, I just got another. It's like I got we ripped up the old contract and gave me an extension midway through, sort of.
Nice.
It was
nice.
So I'm like, I literally the other day I was like, so next baby's born March 2021. That means kindergarten is 2026. I'm like, sweet. That's like another 5.5 years where I can just, I mean, diapers and all that kind of stuff is a lot, whatever. But it really beats working. It really does. I've done that for way too long. I've had two or three careers. I'm good. I let all the rest of you guys go do that stuff now. I'll do the diapers in the park and I mean, I'm playing with Play-Doh and playing in a sandbox. It's the greatest thing ever.
Right on. It must be such a those are moments that you'll never forget, Kev. Like I know, I'm obviously have not had the blessing of having a child myself, but certainly growing up with little sisters who started out as babies and everything. There's certainly a magical experience of watching a child grow up like that. So it's really cool.
I'd love to be a stay-at-home dad just without the kids at home.
That's a better dream.
Yeah.
Just chill at home all the time. No job.
I love the call there.
Yeah, work on your fantasy lineups and all that kind of stuff.
All right. So Toro, this is an exciting moment because we are now facing the guru face to face. So do you have any questions for Oh Baby as far as the strategy or anything?
You said Toro's had it. You said Toro's had his own.
Yeah, remember Toro? You had a run like that too.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't doing the shit he be doing with freaking. I don't know what he does all day. I guess that furlough is working out.
It does provide some more time to look at a couple statistics. Although I don't do a whole lot. There's a couple things I look at, and I mostly just play in the hour before the games start. I'll set a lineup at the start. I already set a lineup for tomorrow, right? Just in case I drop dead, I would never want to play an empty lineup, right? In FanDuel. So God forbid. So, but then, the next day I'll tinker a little, and then last hour I'll play around with it a bit, but nothing major. So, but yeah, I guess I have a little more free time on my hands.
Nothing major. Okay. You don't call what's been going on major?
No, I mean the time spent. I'm not sitting poring over, WOBAs and XRCs and the whatever other stats Fiddle uses.
That's an interesting question. Are there any particular sites you go to get information? Do you go to Fangraphs? Because it's not that's a common place to go.
You want my secrets?
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was
no, Fangraphs. I've used Fangraphs. And I'll listen, everyone, I think if they're doing any second level kind of stuff, they'll look at some splits, righty, lefty.
Yep.
Although honestly, these days, these starters, they go 3-4 innings sometimes. So righty, lefty often doesn't matter because if your team's going off, then that starter is going to be out of the game in the third inning. So that matchup is gone. So I try not to pay too much attention to that. But no, I think it's all about finding the pitcher that you like and then figuring out who works salary wise after that.
I think that's fair. Do you have a target salary for the starting pitcher? Do you have a limit? Do you think that any amount is too much and any amount might be too risky if you go lower in the salary?
Not Not really. I mean, I guess I'd have to look at my history, but I think I've used guys that are, as low as 7,000, 7,500, and I've used pitchers that are, I mean, I think I used Trevor Bauer once a couple of months ago, or well, baseball probably didn't exist a couple of months ago, maybe 5, 6 weeks ago when
Mhm.
he was, 12,000 or close to it. So I think it's, if the guy's 7,000 and you think he can give you value, go for it. But if you don't, then yeah, I'll pay up. So I don't
Yeah.
I don't really have a, oh, this is too low for a pitcher or too high for a pitcher.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point. Toro, how does that jibe with, like what you do? Do you have any set thresholds for starting pitcher selection?
I don't want to like overspend, like, because that could just kill everything. Like when you drop like 12K on a person, like that's like a bit much,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I try and like, I guess look for like the same thing, like something like the 8 grand range, 9 grand range max. But like, I don't. It depends on who's starting that day. There's days I've seen just like trash starting across the board, and I'm like, I don't know where to go here at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Gotcha. It's hard to really evaluate that because it's like, for me, I don't like to overspend either. Like 12,000 just seems like ridiculous. It's like I'm never gonna find any kind of good position player lineup if I put $12,000 in the pitcher, and there's no assurance that you're gonna get a good score out of that person anyway. You just never know. Sometimes the command's off and it's over. So I generally do the high threshold. The low threshold, no. It's just depending on what the matchup is and who's playing, who they're playing, and what day it is and how they were doing the last few starts. There's a lot of different things that go into that. So that's that'll put the capper on the nerd talk for a bit. But Kev, I guess my question is, I don't know how you segue from that because like
I
I know
mean,
you're not.
what the hell is
Clean break.
XRC? That's
Oh,
what I want to know.
WRC. So basically, it's just like,
He said something about a WOBA or a WOBA or what the?
Yeah.
I don't know what any of them are. I just see the acronyms places. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah,
what they
I was
are.
blowing
They're
my
all
mind.
these advanced stats. Yeah.
yeah.
All
all
this
over the place.
advanced new age. I was looking at trying to figure out if Greg Maddox ever had a bad year. So I'm totally not up to date on what you guys are into there.
Did he have
And
a
it
bad year?
turns out he really didn't.
No. I mean, I think even when he was really old, he still was pretty good. I know he was almost 40 when he was with the Dodgers for a year, and he was great. He was all right.
Is there any pitcher today that even comes close to not how successful he was, but even like trying to do it the way he did it with, not throwing hard, just pinpointing the corners, throwing 4 pitches. Like I can't even think of anyone that's half as successful today trying to go about it that
Yeah.
same way. It feels like everyone who's really good throws 96 plus.
It's a good question. I know that there are people that do it, but can people do it with the consistent success of Maddox? And the answer to that is no. But I've seen kind of runs at it. I think there's a guy I saw the other day, Marco Gonzalez, and he just fooled a lot of people with his off-speed stuff, painting the corners, the whole scenario. Theoretically, oh, go ahead, Kev.
As an aside, he in '97 he threw 232 innings and he walked 20 guys the whole year,
That's unbelievable.
and 6 were intentional.
Oh, that's funny.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
And they gave up 9 home runs the whole year.
It's just like you were saying.
When everybody on the earth was juiced. 97. Like
that's great.
I remember
9 home runs.
Actually, remember one year when I was a teenager, he threw like a 70 pitch complete game shutout.
77.
Yeah,
that's on YouTube. It's 77. It's amazing watch.
Yeah, it's that, artifact in history nowadays to see something like that,
Dude pitched to contact.
Yeah, it was something like that. You're right. It was definitely in the gosh.
We can find out what that number was for sure. You said 77? I bet you're right. Let's go look it up.
I remember it was
and I feel like it
75.
Yeah, and I feel like it was against the Cubs, right? It was his old team. That's why it was like a
Yeah. It was like a big deal.
And for his career, 6.1 strikeouts per 9 innings, which if a pitcher had that today, I mean, a scout, a GM wouldn't look twice at them. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
you got to have 9, 10, 11 strikeouts per 9 innings these days to be considered elite. But yeah, it's just amazing what he did. Just amazing. 19-2 win-loss record in 1995.
I'm pretty sure
Wow.
Al Leiter has thrown 77 pitches in one inning at some point in his career. He was like 3-2 with everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
Bob Wickman, when he closed games, was like 3-2 to everybody, wasn't he? Back in the day.
probably.
Yeah. Oh, too funny. Let's see. I'm trying to find that game. That's really wild. So complete game, 77
It's
pitch.
I got it. It was game 1 of a doubleheader at Wrigley, July 22nd, 1997.
Oh, okay, I got it here. Let's go dig it up. 77 pitches. Look at that.
How many
Wow.
strikeouts?
I mean, it's a doubleheader, so he's just kind of like, I don't want to stay around here all day.
Yeah.
How many strikeouts?
6.
Hmm?
Just right on the average.
Wow.
He threw 63 strikes and 14 balls, 77 pitches. Oh my God.
That's
From
amazing.
From 1988 until 2006, when he was 40, he averaged, that's what, a 19-year span, 18-year span, he averaged 233 innings also, which, I mean, what, a guy doesn't throw 200 anymore, except maybe
Yeah.
one or, 2 or 3 guys in the league, it seems like.
You're right, quite right about that. And it was really just an incredible clinic on efficiency was Maddox. And yeah, do you think that, well, I mean, this year is not a good example, but like in the next full season, will anybody in baseball throw 200 innings? Like you might get like 1 or 2, but to do that consistently every single year, that's special. It was special then, and it's even more special now.
Wonder if he was doing PEDs like Pettit.
Have you seen him? I don't think so. I mean,
No,
Yeah.
from all accounts, of the people I've run into and talked to back in the day, Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz, and Avery, the only thing they were doing was booze. They were not doing anything performance enhancing. I still remember a friend of mine down in the city calling us. It was like 96 or 7, and he's like, "Dude, you got to bet the Mets today." And I'm like, "I don't bet baseball." And he's like, Maddox and Glavine were in the bar all night long. They closed the bar, 4 or 5 in the morning. They stumbled out of here, and Maddox, I think it was Maddox, was pitching an afternoon game. So he's like, bet the house on the Mets. Didn't matter. Like, Maddox won like 4-0. It's like all my friends lost money because they thought they had an insider tip, and I'm like, whatever.
they probably do that.
The
every night.
97, it was 97 Mets. I mean,
Yeah. How good were the Mets in '97? Were they a good team?
No.
no.
Yeah, definitely not.
It was just before they
Just
got.
before Bobby
got-
V in
yeah.
99 and 2000, which were the good years.
Right. And Piazza, the trade, and everything else. So
Was
yeah.
Bobby Bonilla still on that team?
Well,
I
he
would
was
think-
certainly getting paid from the.
Yeah, that's
I don't think he was, but I could check.
That's a great question. Let's see that too.
He was with the Marlins in 97. He came
Okay.
back to
Oh,
the
right.
Mets in 99, actually, which I didn't realize. That was their playoff year.
That was a fun year, I think. Even though they didn't make the World Series until the year afterward, '99 was quite a run, and I think all of us remember that run because you had so many things. Like I think at the beginning it was like Todd Pratt. I think that was in the division series, hitting a home run.
I was
Off
at
of-
that game.
Oh, you were at that game.
I
You
was
were in the building.
building for Todd
Yeah.
Pratt. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a great start to that postseason run. And then I'm sure everybody will claim they were in the building for the Grand Slam single by Robin Ventura. That game went a long time, and it was just unbelievable.
I
wonder
wasn't.
what were you doing?
I
go
wasn't
ahead.
there. I would have claimed that shit. I wasn't there.
I know I wasn't there. I was.
I was definitely not there.
Yeah, But what a game. I'm like, I was watching it and then I had to leave to do something else. And I came back and it was like 5:30 out here in the West. So it was like 8:30 in the East. And it was still on. I couldn't believe it. Like somebody was, I don't know how I figured out it was still on, but I think I figured out that it was still on somehow. And I put it on the game. Like, I can't believe they're still playing. And it's like the 15th inning. It was just unbelievable. So really just a night you'll never forget.
And then the walk-off walk.
Oh, the Mets.
Yeah.
And it was Kenny.
Kenny Rod. That was
Kenny
Kenny
Rogers,
Rogers
yeah.
year, right?
That's right. Yeah, that was that was really disappointing because that was a really look. Dodgers and Mets. We are definitely not seeing eye to eye with one another over the years. I know that it's basically a rivalry, but that was a fun team to watch, and I could respect that team. That was a fun team, and I wanted to see how far it could go. And it was kind of a bummer. Nobody wanted to see the Braves in another World Series. They were in plenty of World Series by then. That would have been their 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it 4? No, it would have been their. It was their fourth. Well, it was their fourth World Series when they got there in 1999. People were done with the Braves by then. They were done with them. They had enough. And Toro being a Yankee fan, I'm sure they were okay with beating them.
They were even before like '96. They were nauseating before then because
yeah,
it's all you ever heard. Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine. Like for all that, they won one title. They won all right.
yeah.
When they had like the frontline staff for like what was it, the '90s? Like they won one title. Like they lost a ton of World Series.
Plenty.
Who'd they lose to? They lost to like the Twins.
First it was Twins. It was Minnesota, yeah, and then Toronto, and then they won. They beat Cleveland in '95.
Yeah.
Then there was that quote unquote upset for the Yankees. I mean, it kind of was though. I mean, I gotta be honest. Like that, the Yankees were not the Yankees at that point. It was really, they were truly an underdog at that point in time, but it was short-lived. Certainly, they became the power shortly thereafter. But Kev, you've certainly seen it all when it comes to baseball. But
Yankees
was
were
that
good though, Dave. That was a good team.
Wait, what was a good team?
You're saying they were sort of the underdog, but that was a really good team.
Oh, it was a very good team. There's no question about it. But nobody gave him a shot, though. I remember that. Oh
That's
man,
because
the
people
Braves
are stupid.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly the media can be very short-sighted with this sort of thing, but
Bobby Cox. I mean, that was another one of. I think that may have been part of what Chris was talking to a little bit. Like they only won once. I think it might have had a little bit more to do with Bobby Cox than people realize.
Yeah, he was not the greatest. I will agree with this. I mean,
I don't know enough as far as the ins and outs of like pitching changes because I didn't watch the Braves every day. But like you said, they had Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine, and
they did have a bad bullpen though.
Yeah,
I'm never big on their bullpen. Like they had these clowns like Mulholland and Walters, and just wasn't that good.
You're not a big Charlie Leibrandt fan?
No.
Guy was solid. And they even had, I mean, they had Justice and Ron Gant. I mean, they had guys who knocked out of the park too. I mean,
yeah. Marquise Grissom,
Terry Pendleton,
McGriff, Fred McGriff.
Yeah, McGriff. And so Bobby Cox, I don't know.
And Chipper.
Yep, Chipper.
No.
Can't forget Chipper. When was Andrew
Lawrence.
Jones a thing? Was that like towards the end of that?
Yeah, he was definitely towards the end. He was because he made a big deal in the playoffs in like the late like 97, right?
Mhm.
Like he
That's
was
what
like
I
20
remember, yeah.
20 years
It
old.
was about 97.
Like one of the
might have been
younger.
98. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got tired of hearing about Leo Mazzoni.
Yeah, that turned out he was kind of exposed when he went to Baltimore.
Braves even had like Steve Avery when he was like Steve Avery, like when he was good. Like
he was really good.
Too. Yeah, and then they had Denny Nagel too, and it's like they still couldn't win shit.
They Steve Avery had a couple of really good years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Bobby Cox's like. I don't want Bobby Cox's playing record. No one cares.
Yeah. You gotta admit, I mean, after that many chances at it.
Bobby
curious.
Cox was on the Yankees. I had no idea. Did anyone know
curious.
that for 2 years?
I'm curious. What position did he play?
I can look that up. Do you remember that, Kev? Like
He was
in
a
terms of
third.
play-
He played third for the Yankees in '68. He played 132 games, and then he played third in '69. He played third and second in '69. So he was on the Yankees for 2 full years. I'm sure that was where terrible Yankee teams, right? '68 and '69. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yankee history,
the
like some of
Yankees
these
in the
other
60s
guys.
yeah, late 60s. Yeah, was not a good team.
Right. Yeah.
You guys should know the answer to this. What position did Joe Torre play?
Catcher.
Catcher.
Of course,
Come on, Dave.
Chicken Cacciatore. That's right. You got it. What position does that?
Are you doing like the world's easiest trivia contest right now?
That was very easy. That was really easy. Definitely. But I wonder, like, are there a lot of managers are catchers, right? A lot of them tend to be, they might be infielders. I mean, Bochy was a catcher too, if you remember from the Bochy. He managed the Giants for a long time, managed the Padres before that.
I was gonna say I feel like that was a thing at one time, but I don't know if it kept up because you're right, Bochy and Torrey and I guess Girardi now as well. But I think that feels like one of those things that people like to say, but if you looked across the spectrum, I don't know that catchers would be any more predominant as managers than any other position. I don't know, except maybe pitcher.
Today, I don't really know. I can tell you that the manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, was an outfielder for most of his career. Center field for a lot of it, and then maybe left field towards the end when he was getting old. But, so I don't. I tend to agree with you on that. So there's no specific position that's better than any other. It was just a coincidence, I think.
I have a question.
Was Aaron Boone a catcher at any point, or was that just like his dad or something? Or
I think, that might have been more Bob Boone. What did he play when he was with the Yankees? I'm trying to remember. Was
like
it just DH?
third base? No.
Oh, third base. Yeah, that's right. And then Brad Boone was also third base, or was he in the outfield? I can't remember.
I don't remember that one, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's so weird that they can be such different people and yet be brothers. They seem like such different guys. Like even when they were playing, Aaron Boone was kind of a mild-mannered guy. Brett was a little more wild, especially with the hair, and yet they're from the same family, so it just didn't really. You don't
My favorite part about Dave's shows are when he comes to these realizations in live in time that brothers might possibly be different. Like it's just those. I love those things. Like this happens all the time. Like
it really does.
Let's say right off the bat. I mean, if you can do politics or whatever, but I'm sure the Unabomber had a brother, so those guys are pretty different. I feel like his brother was actually the one who turned him in. I'm not 100% on that one.
Well, I think
you're right.
They'd be getting fired up about politics, man.
Nah, let's not go there. We try to be the moderate of podcasts. But
hold on, I have a question. Oh, babes, if the I underscore here, are we gonna hear you go nuts?
No, I'll be normal. I'm not. I mean, it's also not. Well, honestly, I don't expect them to score. I was just gonna say, to completely switch gears. This feels like a game because I see they are up 48-18 in shots on goal. It feels like they've had like 6 good chances here in overtime, if not converted. It just feels like one of those games that they're now not going to win. But you're also probably a little ahead of me because I'm like streaming it online. So if they do score, don't say anything for like 20 seconds.
How much of that game are you watching, Toro, and how much of the Clipper game are you watching?
I'm like switching back and forth.
Yeah, me too. I'm jumping back and forth. It's very interesting.
That the Toronto Celtics game was nuts though.
I feel stupid for not following the rest of that game. So Toronto survived that game?
They hit a game-winning 3 with no time left.
Oh, wow. I got to go back and watch that. This is one of the weird things about setting up a podcast. Like you forget, you just don't see a lot of sports while that, and then all kinds of stuff can happen while you're turning on the computer and getting the mixer going and everything. But that's pretty. That's a pretty exciting moment. They needed that game. I tell you. I mean, they were about to get swept if they didn't win that game. So that's a big win. Dude, I don't really think that changes the outlook of the series, though. I feel like that's still Boston's series. They've overwhelmed them in the matchups throughout this entire series so far. So I think in Game 4, Boston can take it right back and then win Game 4. They go 3-1, and you're probably just back to square one. So we'll see. Hey, Toro, one more thing. What is it like to I know you told me that the Lakers were in trouble about 2 weeks ago.
Yo, so everyone else was saying that. Don't act like I'm.
Don't saying it. I'm not
don't
singling
act,
you out because everybody said they were in trouble. They were all right. Oh my goodness, they're gonna get blown out by the Blazers. And then they just won every game.
Don't act like I'm unique. And please, when they lost Game 1, I know you were probably a little scared.
I was a little scared. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
exactly,
doubt.
exactly.
But I
So
did say it was Game 1. I said it was
fear-mongering or
Game 1,
nothing.
though. I said it was just Game 1, and we'll see what Game 2.
Why were
Sorry,
people saying, like, I don't follow basketball pretty much at all these days, but like I remember there was chatter about it, and like just as a dumb, casual, almost non-fan to myself, I'm thinking, well, don't the Lakers have LeBron and Anthony Davis? So why would people be saying they're in trouble and done because they have
Here's
two
what
of the best
happened.
players?
Here's what happened. The Lakers looked like shit in the play-in games, like before the playoffs started.
Which they did. I certainly agree with that. Talk about that.
The Blazers were friggin' going off in those games because they got what's his name back. They got Nurkic back, so they finally had their healthy squad, and they were just Lillard was going off in games, and then they come out in Game 1 and friggin' beat the Lakers. So everyone was like, "Oh, it's done." And plus, Dave will admit this, the Lakers have two players, and that's about it. It's like
at that point, nobody else was playing well. There's no question. Yeah.
Still, it's basketball. I mean, LeBron has won with one player before, and granted, he's not what he was maybe 5-6 years ago, but.
Yeah.
What do you need more than two players in basketball? That's 40% of the team.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what Gator would have said about that series. He would have made the same point. LeBron James is an all-timer. Anthony Davis is an all-timer. And sometimes that's enough. Now, it wasn't just them, but some guys started to step it up, and Kuzma in particular was big in the next few games. But yeah, I mean, I think that was just a case where they took it to another level, and the Blazers couldn't reach it. And defensively, they were able to be really consistent in shutting out the paint, and that made things very tough for Dame and for CJ. So I'm not gonna get too crazy about that because again, you don't assume anything in this league. But I was very happy to see the Lakers finish the deal and do it fairly quickly too, so they got a lot of rest out of that. They've been resting for like a week. It's been it will be 6 days since their last game when they play tomorrow against.
It doesn't matter. They're gonna steamroll Houston.
I agree. 2 reasons. The length is just overwhelming, and Harden, good God, he cannot shoot in a big spot. That was embarrassing.
I think it's more just tell me who's gonna guard Anthony Davis on that team.
Yeah, you got everybody 6'4" and under. Like that is going to be impossible for them to defend like either LeBron or Davis, let alone both. And then Kuzma's kind of tall himself, so it's like I agree. I just don't see that being. I think it could go at like 6, but probably not more than 6. So we'll see.
Is Harden generally known as a good shooter or just a good scorer?
He's an unbelievable scorer. He's one of the best.
Right, but because he creates these crazy shots for himself and hits them, but as a jump shooter, is Harden
he also gets
average, above average?
A lot. He gets to the basket a lot. Like Dave, right? He gets to the basket a lot.
Oh yeah, he's very prolific at that. And if not getting to the basket, he draws fouls.
Yeah, he shoots a ton of free throws.
Yeah.
But yeah, his little 3-point, that little step back, that's what he's known for when he's deep. Because I don't know. Is that a walk? Do you think that's a walk?
I think it is,
travel.
but I mean, players get away with so much traveling nowadays. Like LeBron started it, and now everybody else is kind of piggyback.
I
that.
know, but that's like Harden's trademark. Is that little whatever he does, his little sidestep, you know?
I mean, the sidestep and a 3-point shot is fine. Like I don't have a real issue with that as far as like the legality of it, but it's kind of designed to draw a foul. Kind of Reggie Miller used to do that 25 years ago, and
No,
so
he
he
used
just
to
picked
kick
up.
out. He
was always a kick out guy. That's true. He was a kick out guy. So it's kind of
I
very
know.
similar.
I'm a Knicks fan. I know.
Yeah. So Harden is at least honest about it. I mean, in an interview, he said he played like shit. He literally said on the air he played like shit. So,
Mhm.
you can at least give it to him for honesty. But I mean, that's what he does. It's a game 7, and he can shoot like 2 for 30. It can be frustrating if you're like a Houston fan. So, but they made it. So it's like, I
He'll
guess
keep
give him
shooting.
credit.
He'll keep shooting though. He's not shy.
No. I mean, it's to their detriment, but they will not stop their confidence with shooting the 3-pointer. And I think that's something that the Lakers can definitely take advantage of. So we have Kev. It's an interesting spot. Kev, I was gonna ask you. I guess not really about the NBA. I figured this was gonna definitely come into play during this podcast, but what are the people in your area, because you live in Massachusetts, right? So if we swing it back to baseball for a second, like how much despair is there in the state of the Red Sox right now? Because they look so spent, they look so cheap, they really look like they look like a disaster right now.
I have absolutely no idea, Dave.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea how many games they played, what the record is. I couldn't even name 4 Red Sox. The only judge I have is my neighbor's grandson.
Okay.
He's got his Red Sox hat. He's got his Red Sox coronavirus mask. He seems pretty happy, but I think he's kind of airheady-ish.
Yeah.
He's wandering around in his own. He's got his so he seems fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen a sporting event. I'm not sure when was the last one.
Well, we talked about that when we were asking the question. What was the last thing you
Life
attended?
just took turns, man. It took.
I don't
crazy,
think that's that's all right.
We were
because
we were talking today this morning. I was running a crew at NBC Sports. We had 16 TVs on the wall and nonstop, like 20 hours a day sports. And now I haven't. You guys talking about the NBA? If you had asked me, or if you had told me that the season was over and the Lakers won, I would have been like, "Oh, sure, okay, cool." No idea what round they're in. Nothing.
Yeah. Right. Well, I did. That's why I didn't want to go too deep into that because.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I mean we're done. I'm just saying, like, I just wanted to. I figured it had run its course, so it was good to segue to something different. Yeah. No, I got you. I know that. I feel like all of us are going to end up with that situation someday. My dad has gone through that. He doesn't really he's not as dialed into sports like he used to be because he's busy with so many things. Like,
You may not. My father-in-law, who lives in our town, every day he's this humongous Yankee fan. And I want to not be a dick about it, but like he tries to talk to me. I'm like, dude, I don't know anything. What are you talking about? If you want to talk about like today, we had him over for dinner tonight, and the first like sports conversation we had was what you and I were talking about. He asked me, he's like, is Tom Seaver top 10 pitcher of all time? I was like, sweet, this is definitely something we could talk about.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, I have no idea who's in the Yankees starting rotation right now, but we can do top 10 pitchers of all time, and we had a great time. But
yeah,
that's pretty much where I'm at. Which is why I was looking up Greg Maddux stats before.
Well, Maddux is a top 10 pitcher of all time. That's easy to me. But then it gets interesting. It's like, do you put Seaver in there? do you put Seaver in there? Like, I was wondering about that.
There's a couple of those guys that are like at around 10
Mm-hmm.
that you can Seaver and Gibson and Carlton. Probably they're all from like the same era too. But
Yeah. I don't know either. That's tough. It's tough when you don't see him play. Like I saw Maddox play. I saw Pedro play. I see
Pedro,
Kershaw play.
to me, Pedro is still. I mean, he's it, man. Like
Yeah, he's so good.
he's freaking so good.
Yeah, I've just
I've never seen anything like that. Like there's
Yeah, it's
like
true.
98, 2000, 99, 2000.
He's
Just
unstoppable.
going
Like,
to some of those games, it was just absurd.
yeah.
I've never seen grown men look so silly. You know, out of not even
Yeah.
knowing at all what was going on, what was coming out of his hand. Just
Yeah.
he was unlike anything I've ever seen before as a sports fan watching those games.
Yeah, no argument. I think he was the most exciting pitcher to watch for that 3-year period you talked about, like 98, 9, and 0. Like nobody could beat him back then.
And same kind of thing, like we were talking about Maddox. All these guys were just loaded up,
Yeah.
and his like adjusted ERA compared to the rest of the leagues back then is just out of this world.
Yeah.
You can't. So even Koufax, like that's what my father-in-law and I go back and forth. I'm like, dude, Pedro's better. It's not even close. And I've been like chipping away at him, this old man, every once in a while. Because you talk to these old guys about Koufax and it's but he's every year I'll give him another interesting stat about our era opposed to his era.
Mm-hmm.
And he's relenting a little bit. But I think I just heard my son wake up. So hold on.
All right, no sweat. He's going to check on his little guy. And while we do that, we can give you an update on some of the scenarios. So in the NHL, it's still tied. It's 4-4 as we have 3 minutes and 23 seconds left in overtime in the Toronto bubble.
You're behind me.
Oh, I'm behind?
Yeah, I had 323 also. So.
Oh no, I think Toro's ahead of us because he's watching
I have
him like regular TV.
258.
Oh, well, don't tell us when the Flyers score.
Let's just say that there's
the
less
Islanders
than 4 minutes.
did kill off. I saw the Islanders killed off a penalty
Yeah.
a few minutes ago. But 51-21 now the shots. I'm telling you, this is one of those games where
you're out shooting them by 30.
the Islanders are going to come away regretting it.
Our friend Fiddle has been on text with me and Cap, and he's been catching up on DVR. Now he's caught up. That's how long this game has gone. Like he's all caught up already.
Where's Fids been?
He's been busy. He has a baby too. Like he's been raising a little baby.
Got like 3 kids.
Yeah, isn't that something? They have been talking about
Twitter.
moving to another house. I don't have any confirmation on that, but
the Twitter migration.
I know. Why is the assumption that everybody goes to Twitter? It's like it's not a given that you're just gonna go to Twitter. Like, what if you just don't go on Twitter either?
No, didn't it just become? I mean, listen, I don't understand 90% of board memes, but didn't it just become a joke? Because years ago, guys were like, "I'm too busy with family and work and to post on the board," and then they're tweeting 15 times a day, like building their own brand.
So you're basically this is basically an outing of Umer and Rollins, which is fair because that is what happened. Like I saw both of them just explode on Twitter from the point that they segued off the board.
That's building a brand off someone else's brand.
Yeah.
Stealing
a brand.
I'm not sure how far I'd go with that.
Funhouse is in that category too.
Yeah, Funhouse is really in that category because you're basically just without Mike, you have nothing. It's like I see what you're saying. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, with you're building a brand off of somebody else's brand. That makes sense.
You're not even building a brand, right? You're just recording stuff and playing it. Like I don't get. I mean, listen, kudos to him. I guess I just feel weird if a guy's able to like monetize that in any way. I mean, maybe he's doing it for the love of tweaking Mike, but it seems wrong if he's in any way like able to monetize or get something from it. That you're just taking clips and playing them, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't really have a full grasp of the logistics of that either. It's like, oh, we've seen this forever. Like there used to be shows that were talking about other talk shows, right? Like they would play clips from other TV shows, and they'd be like, "Hey, did you see what XYZ said on such and such show?" and so on and so forth. So that's always a thing. That's always been a thing, and whatever. Um, talk shows. No, I
That's
want to stay on
true.
this.
But I wonder. Yeah, listen, I don't know how it works, but on radio or TV, like take a show like those Entertainment Tonight and extra kind of shows. Do they get permission to use clips of a show that was on another network? I don't know. I would
Great
think
question.
so.
Yeah, I mean, that. I mean, if you're going to be a CNF about it, yeah, you got to authorize permission and get licensing for that. And I don't think, in the case of Umer, I'm sorry, but Umer's our friend and my friend and everything, but this has been talked about. Umer got in trouble with CBS for using their clips without their permission, and they kiboshed it. Now, were they being unreasonable in that? Yeah, they were, but technically they were in the right because he was using copyrighted material without their permission. So it was a very, very sticky subject, honestly. It's really weird.
Doesn't everyone do that though? I mean, if
No,
you
I
post
mean
like,
that's why I was saying it
no,
was unreasonable
well,
because like everybody does that. It's like you see it all over the place. You can't stop
my
everybody.
point, my point is in like a weird way. It's like even like if you post a GIF or GIF, whatever you want to call it, isn't that like copywriting in some way?
The
'Cause you're
ones from like
sharing,
actual works, yeah, but there are like
because
ones of
you're
like people
sharing a
on.
clip from a movie that like
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to get like really technical about it,
very
Yeah,
much so.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know the law around it, but I would assume the the line is considered crossed maybe if you're if you're making money off of someone
yeah.
else's
Yeah,
work. But
I think that's fair. Um, one thing that's come up as far as TV is like the it's been a big old brouhaha about the way that Ellen's been treating people behind the scenes. Like that's something that I've been hearing about. Is that a real thing? Like, well, let me get your guys' opinion. Is Ellen a fraud in the sense that she presents herself as a really like nice and generous and care and all fun loving and really laid back person, and she's like totally not that thing in real life? Kev, I wonder what
Well,
your
well,
feel is on this. Have you had a feel for that?
well, Dave, it's not the Ellen and Friends or Ellen and Company show. It's it's she's a massive egomaniac. Only cares about herself. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I actually had a friend who she was a producer for that show. She moved on. She went to the doctors, I think, someplace out in LA. And this woman is one of the most positive, nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. And she's never told like terrible stories about Ellen, but she's never said anything good about her either. And this
Ooh.
woman can find the good in anything, literally anything. And she's certainly not the kind of person to trash talk either. So it's not surprising that she took the high road. But yeah, I'm not surprised. It surprises me more when you hear like the good stories about people in those positions. I'm never surprised when you hear a story that this guy's a dick or this woman, fired a woman for getting pregnant. What like those things have never surprised me ever.
The only reason it's even a story is because she's perceived nationally, globally, whatever, as some frontline hero for equality because of
Right.
just who she is and what all that stuff. So then when people like hear like, oh well, she's a bitch though, they're like, oh really? Wow, it's like that's the only reason it's a story.
Yeah, I think there's an inconsistency between her image and what she represents in terms of, to be more specific, like to be of LGBTQ equality and women's equality and just equality in general, like you were saying, Toro. Like, I think that inconsistency with and going against like the way she treats people off camera. I mean, that's definitely jarred some people, but it is what it is. I mean, I agree with Kev. Like, she's a big deal, and I think people that have raised themselves to that level of notoriety and popularity. I mean, they're going to be type A personalities. They're going to be pretty ruthless. And so anybody that powerful will unsurprisingly be very, very, very brutal to people behind the scenes. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I mean, you see people in general that if you're rising to that level, be it in corporate America, be it in, entertainment, I feel like you're gonna find a lot of people that are like that. Granted, there's a number that are not, so it doesn't excuse it. And like my view is like once you've reached a point of basically having everything in the world, monetarily, success, and being able to have everything at your fingertips, like it's crazy to me that people would act that way. Like just be a nice person. You're the richest person in the room. You have all the power. Just treat people with a little respect, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
I've
it's
seen
just an extreme case, just because of you know, you think someone's somebody, and the person winds up being something different. So
Chris nailed it. The reason why it's because was put on this sort of pedestal back in the
yeah,
whenever that show came out as this kind of leader for this minority group, which they don't need her anymore. They've got
that's
plenty
fair.
of leaders.
That's
It's
fair.
so
Things have changed, certainly. Yeah,
It's
that's
yeah.
weird.
I've run
I
across.
remember I
Go
remember
ahead.
that episode when she still had the sitcom. She like
Right.
came out. It was like such a major deal. Like it was like insane. It was like like people were watching like that episode like it was like the last episode of Seinfeld.
Seriously, dude, I was like, come out with me any night in college, and I'll show you 10 girls kissing at the
Hmm.
bar. Like, this is not a big deal. But anyway, I've seen far less famous, less rich people be dicks, like in the media world and all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, it's not surprising.
I think
yeah,
it's almost simpler than her status, in the LGBT community. I think her image is that of being nice, right? And
Yeah.
the stories are completely opposite of that. So I think that's why it made so many headlines because her whole show and persona is just being nice and bubbly and friendly and jokey. And I mean, if you heard that, I don't know, I can't think of a person, but um, I mean,
The
look at
selfie at the Oscars. Remember
oh
that?
yeah, I remember the
yeah,
selfie at the Oscars, right?
Mhm.
like I remember watching when I finally got around to watching Comedians in Cars or whatever it was with Jerry Seinfeld and thinking like, man, this guy's kind of a jerk and like full of himself a lot, right? And so you wouldn't be shot. I don't know what he's like behind the scenes or with, his staff or what he was like on the show, but after watching that, if the same kind of articles came out about him that came out about Ellen, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense because
Yeah,
he was kind of cocky, on the show. Whereas with Ellen, like her whole persona is just nice, and
hmm
the articles were obviously what a terrible person she was.
yeah. I guess you have a point. I mean, we all are familiar with Jerry Seinfeld too, and so we already know about his sarcasm and his yeah, kind of arrogant type of behavior in terms of what he says in his monologue and whatever. So not the most not if you like these articles you're talking about are not the most shocking thing in the world. It's a little bit more so when you talk about someone who's perceived in a certain light, as Ellen is. So I think these are really good points, and it happens. It's you can't expect anyone to be perfect, and I think the ones who don't even try are probably the ones you respect the most. So guys like Charles Barkley, I'm like, hey, he's honest about himself. I can dig that. And maybe guys like Michael Jordan is an unusual case. It's a pertinent topic because we saw the Last Dance a few months ago, and we know what he's done behind the scenes. That look into Michael Jordan during the Last Dance was very interesting to me. Like I really got to see quite a bit more of his personality through this program than I did beforehand. It was a really enjoyable experience. I don't know if you've all seen the documentary, Kev. I can't say whether you have or not, but it is on Netflix if you want to check. No, okay, but it is on Netflix if you want to check it out.
Yeah, it was.
I tried something like a month ago to not watch the iPad and watch movies in bed, some kind of thing. You're not supposed to watch electronics and before you go to sleep, some horse shit like that. I read, Building Good Habits or some crap book so I fell for it, of course, and now I sleep amazing and my brain isn't scrambled. So I haven't seen it. I was on a roll. I was catching up on all the shows, but
Mhm. What was
trying to do this
the-
self-help horse shit. It's working. This is the
So
latest
this
I've-
sleep
this is the
thing,
latest I've been up
you're
in 6
losing all these
weeks.
shows, but you can sleep.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm getting up early and exercising and memory is better and all these good things. So don't get me
Yeah, all
wrong.
these good
The guy was right. Whoever wrote the book was right. It has been positive, but
Yeah.
on the other hand, like 3 shows are just sitting there in the queue, just like, dude, you were on episode 4. What the hell? Where'd you go? And I think my wife has just picked up and now she's watching them all.
Yeah. It is true that Netflix does remind you of that stuff. Like, hey, don't forget about this. Don't forget to finish this,
And I put, like an idiot, I put my iPad somewhere and I was like, tell her, I was like, don't tell me where I hit it. And I definitely, I can't find it. I don't remember where I put it. So it actually worked. Like I hit it on
That's
myself.
even better
like,
than it
like
worked.
like a child. Now I don't even know where it is. So
Too good.
yeah.
Do you remember what the last show you saw before that whole thing started, before your whole new routine?
Well, I used to watch Peaky Blinders, which on Netflix.
Oh yeah. Quicky's told me about that show. He really wants me to watch that show.
That was really good. I don't think I watched the last season. I think.
Okay.
But as far as and then I did start watching that Bosch show. That was like the LA detective kind of show.
I've seen some
based on the
Bosch,
Michael
yeah.
Connelly books, but
It's
that's when
very-
I read that damn Habits book, and so I saw like the first 4 episodes or something, it was really good.
Yeah.
But that's where I ended.
It's very gritty, which is kind of accurate because
Definitely,
gritty.
it's not grittier than Peaky Blinders, man. That show is tough.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. It's the acting and the sets. Like it's a phenomenal show, but it's tough. A lot of violence and smacking people around, smacking women around. It's
Ooh.
1920s,
Mhm.
England after World War I guess, right? So
Yeah.
it's pretty raw. It's cool. It's a really good show.
I tried it. I remember doing 1 or 2 episodes of Peaky Blinders, and it's how sometimes you're into it and you're not, and you drop it, and for whatever reason I ended up dropping it. But yeah, visually certainly it was stunning, and I could see where it was a pretty cool show. Excuse me.
Toro, have you been up on Peaky Blinders?
No, I mean I've seen it on Netflix. I've never like actually give it a try. It though. I don't even remember the last show I watched. When COVID first started, I was like binging so much. I was like, I have to take a break, and like I haven't been able to like really get into anything since.
Mhm.
I will say that I think like network TV just sucks nowadays. Like there's like no shows I watch that are like network TV. Just like everything's from streaming or like HBO or Showtime. It's like I feel like there's no network shows or like really worth watching anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was bound to happen. I think that the budgeting is just better. There's more dedication to the craft on these other networks, including AMC, which has put out a lot of good shows. I don't know what they're doing now, but certainly in the previous 10 years, they were on a roll. Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and Walking Dead, which is the biggest thing on TV for a while. Remember?
Yeah, it kind of got. I haven't watched the most recent season, but they kind of lost. I watched like the whole thing up until like a season ago, and it kind of lost me there.
I
But,
heard it really jumped the shark. Like it kind of got away. Like they really lost their focus because I was watching some episodes. They're just getting too much internal bickering nowadays.
yeah, I don't know. It's hard to keep a show going that long and still be good.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear that like Grey's Anatomy is the exception to that because I freaking I hate that show.
I don't think you're gonna hear that on this on
No.
our show.
I know. I'm just saying. I hate that show with a passion. I
That's
dated
awesome.
her. I dated a girl who like made me watch that show, and I was the most I was like, all these people in the hospital can't date somebody out the hospital. You got having a baby with this one. She's in a lesbian relationship with this one, and this one's banging the chief of oncology, and I was just like, yo, like, does anybody date outside of this hospital? And my ex was a physical therapist, and she'd say, she's like, oh, well, when you work so much, it's like, you know, you have to like date who's around you. I was like, that's such bullshit. Not everyone in the same hospital dates everyone in the same hospital. They might mess around time to time or whatever, but like this was like committed relationships. I was like, come on, man. Anyway, they lost me there.
I've never seen that show, but that sounds really contrived. Definitely. My
You
goodness.
know what
I
a
hope
good
you got
show was
time.
that I. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say a good show, and it might have been the last one I kind of binged, and I don't remember hearing anything about it when it was actually kind of getting released. But Sneaky Pete, which is on Amazon,
I watched that.
that was really good. It got a little far fetched, kind of in the later, towards the end, like any show does that kind of runs on for a few seasons. But I really enjoyed that one, and hadn't remember even hearing of it before I just started watching it.
That was really good. The first season was really good. The second was average, but the first one was cool, and it had what's his name from Breaking Bad in it. Bryan Cranston was sort of like this
Yep.
mobster kind of guy, but the kid who's the main guy was really good.
Giovanni Ribisi. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. He was cool. He was cool in that role. That seemed, and it was filmed, I think, around in Connecticut, and but yeah, that was really good. My wife and I both watched that one, and then you're right. The second season, you were kind of like, all right, this is sort of a lot. When you watch those shows and you're like, all this kind of stuff doesn't happen to like the same family. Like this is a little too much stuff that all of a sudden. It's like when you're watching a show and the one group's always getting killed, and you're like, but every once in a while you got to get somebody. The other side's got to lose a guy. Like it's not this one-sided. Make it a little realistic, balancing out a little bit.
It just seemed like one of those shows where the writers had a lot of great material for one season, and then it gets picked up for a second, and they're like, "Uh-oh, where do we go now?"
I feel like that was what was the one, Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton. That was on Amazon, and the first season was frigging amazing. The writing was really done well, and he was awesome. And then the second one was exactly what you just said. You're like, they're just making stuff up because they did well, and they all wanted that second kind of paycheck, I guess. But the first season, totally recommended. So good, and you don't have to watch them both. But the second one was so weird, and if you'd only watch it if you're like a big fan of the actor, Billy Bob Thornton, because he is terrific, but
icon.
He couldn't even carry it the second season. It got too weird. But the first one, they had the William Hurt is in it as sort of the adversary, and it's really cool. Dave, it's a lot of I think I told you this, is a lot of LA stuff, a lot of like old LA, like seedy. He like lives in this like seedy motel, and I think in Santa Monica, to be honest with you.
Funny.
Looks like it from
my backyard. Look at that.
From my knowledge.
Well, the term seedy Santa Monica is not that far fetched.
No, it's not.
Definitely not back then. No.
Not even now. I walked around your town for 4 hours.
Right. No,
you go from like your Millionaire's Row to like, okay, I'm going to the car because these bums are all
quite a lot. Shit. Yep. So it's not as glamorous as people would say. I mean,
I was like, why is it? I'm like, everyone must have been out partying. Everyone is sleeping on the grass. Like, oh no, those are just bums.
Yeah.
That was an eye opener.
Yeah, certainly. It's kind of a weird existence, I don't know if I feel safer here than where I used to live.
But then again, your town is the one where the homeless guy who I gave like $1 to or something. I saw him on the next corner whip out a phone that was way better than mine. I was like, I
love that story.
Yeah.
Such bullshit, man. That was so funny. Oh.
Can I have that 5 back? Because
I'm
getting kind of hungry.
I know. Let me give you guys one, because there is one. I'm not nearly as good with like binge watching shows as you guys, but one I did see. This is you can put a big old Heyman on me for this, but I saw Bloodline which I know has been around a long time, but I did like that show. It was very good. Have you seen? Is that one? Are you guys familiar with that one at all?
Nope.
We watched the first season. I think there was multiple ones, right?
Yeah, there were 3 seasons. It wasn't very long.
Okay.
It was only 3 seasons.
What happens a lot in our family is we'll watch the first one together, and then I usually just I'm done, and she'll watch the remainder and let me know how it happens, and then of course I'll like sit down every once in a while. I'm like, she's in the middle of season 3 now, and I'm like, hey, whatever happened to that guy? Like, why? And she's like, would you just be quiet? Where were you the last 3 months when I was watching season 2 and 3? And I'm like, they killed the guy in season 1? Which guy was that? So then I have to leave anyway. But yeah, that was a good first season as well.
Well, the first season was definitely the most like
It's
action
funny.
packed.
There's like a theme now. Like Old Baby just said it before. It's like these writers have all these amazing ideas, and that's how they get the show, right? I mean, they pitch. You're pitching full-fledged like scripts to these studios, and they're like, and then they get whatever, how much money and how many episodes, and they pour all these ideas they've had for the last couple of years. If I'm ever gonna get my own series, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and they put it all in 8 episodes, 10, 12, whatever, and then they're like, oh shit, like we just got re-upped. I even remember Larry David saying back in the day when he was like praying for the show to get canceled, in like season 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah, he's like, I couldn't. He couldn't come up with. He was just afraid he wouldn't be able to keep coming me up with ideas to write.
Right.
All this energy and time and effort goes into that beginning, and then it kind of either it can, I don't know, sustain itself like Chris's favorite Grey's Anatomy show, or it becomes just total weirdness like Lost, or I think Breaking Bad was one of the ones that kind of kept up a little bit. I know
I was just going to bring that up as an example that it's funny that got better, I thought, because I remember first, I don't think I started watching Breaking Bad until like it was already over, or maybe well into
same with us
seasons. And I remember starting it and thinking like, oh, this is the show that everyone's going nuts over, right? The first half a season, or even the first season. And then that one, I think, just got progressively better and better and better. And maybe, I don't remember, I'm bad at remembering shows. Maybe the last season it dropped off a little bit, but man, I just remember that was like the only show I've ever watched where literally like my heartbeat was accelerating, by the end of the show while watching it, because just such good writing and acting, and got better as the seasons went along.
I agree. It was really, that final season was really great. A lot of final seasons are disappointing. Game of Thrones.
Did you watch that like Breaking Bad movie that they did like, I don't know, 6 months or 8 months ago with the kid when he escapes in the car, Jesse?
I saw it.
The follow up of like the next day of his life with his 2 little Skinny Pete and that other guy, those clowns.
Sounds like
it was bad. It wasn't worth it. It's not worth
no
watching.
good.
But
well, they say that Better Call Saul is good, and
that show is good. I haven't seen them all, but
I haven't seen it at all, and I think I should, because I know it's a really quality show. We are kind of up against it, so I just want to give it to you guys for some final thoughts. This has been a great show. Thanks for joining me, everybody. So, let me give it to you first, Toro. Any final thoughts as we go into seeing the rest of this game between the Islanders and the Flyers and everything else?
Just stay safe, stay healthy, and keep it going, man. And stay on the board. Don't go away again.
All right, no sweat. I mean, look, I know there was a little drama about that a week ago, and look, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be up. You got me for a while. Thank you. Okay, baby.
Let's go Islanders here in double overtime.
Yeah.
Has Dave mushed this game yet?
Not yet. No, double OT. They're 5 minutes into the second overtime here. So
45 seconds to mush the game.
The only time I was ever, privileged enough to be in the studio, the Dave Medina studios, there was a Ranger game. Was it a playoff game?
Rangers, yeah.
And he asked me, he's like, so, what is your predictions? I'm like, Dave, I have no idea about hockey, but there's, the I don't know the exact details, but I said there's no chance the Rangers are going to lose this. And then within like 2 seconds, they it happened. So the Dave Mush went through Dave into me. We were sharing like the same equipment. Like it's a very strong, it's a very real thing. People don't believe it. People on the board for years did not believe it, but the Dave Mush is real, and it happens all the time. So be careful.
What was the recent one that was really just unbelievable? I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, Garrett Cole. Oh my goodness. When I went out there and I was like, oh yeah, there's no way they're gonna lose the Garrett. There's no way they're gonna lose the Garrett to the Braves with Garrett Cole, and they got their ass kicked in that game. I took the money line in that game, and they were humiliated by Tampa Bay. I still can't. And then they lost the other game. They lost I think they ended up losing like 5 games in a row after that.
Yeah, it's real. I'm telling you.
It's real. It's like, it's unbelievable. Like, sometimes I still can't believe it, even after all these years. So, I'm not trying to do that. Like, sometimes I am, but that time I wasn't. I was just saying, hey guys, this is ridiculous. Like, they got to win this game, and they didn't. So, anyway, Kev, final thoughts?
I think that was my final thought. You are the mush of the world, but we all love you for it. That's the best part. Like most mushes, people don't want to be around. They give them a hard time, and it's real. But no, it's all in good fun.
Dave, tell me I'm never gonna be a billionaire.
No shot.
See, and the best part is they would always, it would be with such conviction, and then there was reasons behind it, and there was lots of thought and lots of research done, and then within seconds it would just go the other way. And then, or people on the board, I remember back years ago where like a lot of times everyone would like to predict who was winning. Like, they would put like their Sunday picks or whatever, and Dave would put his, and everyone's like, oh no, God, why? You pick, don't like, remember what's his name? Always like, don't pick the Packers. Pick against my team. Like people would just be begging him.
I think that was Checker. I think that was.
I feel like we used to do picks like
at
some point during the random question podcast or something, and people would make requests for you to pick against their team.
The Jets. Don't pick the Giants. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, too funny.
But yeah, no, I'm just guys keep being safe. I mean, I don't know. I didn't even get a chance. I don't know if you guys are working or if you guys are. I haven't been on the board. I don't know how everyone's doing in New York, and what's the deal and what's the feeling there. I mean, we're pretty remote up here in the Berkshires. We don't have to. Thankfully, my wife works from home, and we don't have to go out to earn a living. So I don't know how everyone's doing. I'm hoping that you guys are all good and staying, just staying positive, and hopefully this thing ends at some point.
I work in Manhattan, and
so you're still going out every day.
No, I'm home. I've been home since March, and we're not going back. They closed the office for the rest of this year. We're not going back till the earliest next year. But I've been working from home full time.
And you're still able to, they're not like cutting hours, and you're still just working.
No, if anything, I'm working more.
It's tough, man. Like I said, my wife has been working from home since like 2016 or 17, and it's a whole different discipline to get into. I mean, do you have people living with you, or are you by yourself?
No, I'm with my mom.
So yeah, I mean, with other people in the house, man, it can be difficult. I mean, we put a wall. I know nothing about home for modeling or building, but we put a wall up downstairs because he would just hear her voice, and he would just be running down screaming for her. It's just mom and a son. We've all been through it, but so she couldn't get anything done, and she's on a lot of calls and these Zoom things and stuff. So it's tough to do, but when you get good at it, man, you can be really efficient. And now she was like you, she was the other way. She was feeling that she wasn't getting anything done, taking 10 hours to what we normally do, like 6. Now she's flipped it, and she's gotten really just really efficient. And now she's going for her MBA while working. So she's been able to take that time and kind of condense it to the point where she can actually go and get another degree now. So it does take some time, but you can do it, man. Beats. I'm sure you miss your crew and stuff in there in the city and going out and stuff, but
Yeah,
don't know.
it's just creating a routine. You know what I mean? At first, I was a little lost, but I sort of found the groove. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
an adjustment. It's definitely different. I definitely miss the office though. I miss like not commuting, but you know, like going to Manhattan and like seeing people I enjoyed and whatnot.
That's the biggest part, I think, for all of us is like that, just that social stuff. I mean, even
And
just
the routine too. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to the gym a lot, and it's like, all right, I've had to like totally change that too. So like, and that was like a huge portion of my day between office and there. So it's like, had to totally adjust it all.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they're just creatures of habit and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I like run into people. Well, just when I'm out like shopping and just having having a conversation with a mask on is even. It's like I don't even get it. Like, what's the point? I can't tell if they're happy,
there's a
sad.
point. There's a point to that. I'm gonna say goodbye to Baby. I know he's got some other stuff going. So it's really good to catch you on this program for the first time. Thanks for joining us, and hope
We
you.
didn't get to see him though, so I mean,
That's true. We didn't.
Next
Maybe
time,
next time.
come
Maybe
down
next
to the
time.
River Grill.
River
Yeah,
Grill.
down to the River Grill.
That's a
I know
board
what he
joke,
looks.
Kevin.
I know what he looks like.
Next time.
I know what he looks like too, because we were at a game. I'll tell the story after you go, though, Jordan. But we were
I
at
can
the.
stick around. That's a fun one. I'll stick
Oh
around
yeah.
for that,
Okay.
and then I'll
Okay.
head out. Yeah.
So Kev, you won't believe this. So, do you remember the infamous Ruben Tejada slide, or the Chase Utley slide into Ruben Tejada in a division series game 2 at Dodger Stadium? Oh, Baby and I were in the building for that game. We both were.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We were watching it in the stands, and we were right there. We could see it from the
Together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Side
That's
by
even
side,
better.
watching the game. And then I was like, wait, did he hurt himself in that thing? And Jordan, I know you were saying like, oh, he's getting an air cast. This isn't looking too good. And it was
you could tell from the start he was down and out. So yeah, that got the crowd riled up. That was a fun. Yeah, I was able to get out there for game 1 and 2, and yeah, it's funny because I'm so bad these days at remembering like specific moments, even from like games and movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So until you had mentioned it last week, I had completely forgotten that was the Chase Utley game.
Yeah.
But yeah, then after you mentioned that, I remembered. Oh yeah, that was pretty wild.
It was. I mean, Chase Utley was a marked man in New York for a long, well, still is actually, really. And, Met fans just never forgiven him for that, and it was pretty dirty. I'm not going to argue. I mean, that was a dirty play.
It got us that great video and audio of Terry Collins and the umpires, though. You seen that one on YouTube?
I probably
Google
forgot
Terry
about
Collins Utley, and it's when Syndergaard. So it was like a year or two later when Utley was back in Citi Field, and Syndergaard, I think, throws behind him, or maybe I forget if he hits him or throws behind him, and immediately Syndergaard is tossed from the game, and Terry Collins comes out and just starts yelling at the umpire. And obviously, when you're watching the game, you have no idea what he's saying, but like a year later, it came out that like the whole thing was on audio. Like they had a mic on him, and you could hear the whole argument between the ump and Terry Collins, which was a cool kind of peek behind the curtain during one of these arguments. So
he must have been heated. Yeah.
Yeah. It
was wild. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to say that the Mets went on to win that series in 5, and I remember that Jesus Familia or Jerry Familia was money during that series as a closer, as a reliever.
That was he wasn't
probably
in the World Series.
Probably the last time you could ever say that too.
Right. As old Baby was saying too. Like once he got to the World Series, that all went to shit. But during that series, he was money, definitely. So, it was it was a great series win for the Mets. I mean, that was a tough series, and I think coming out of that and coming out ahead, that was a all the tip the cap to the Mets. That was quite a run. Went to the World Series, and then things didn't go so well. But the run to the World Series is certainly very exciting. Murphy in the second round and in the championship series, hitting all the home runs against the Cubs. That was really something. I don't think a lot of people were prepared for that.
Yeah, he just went off, and I mean, he hit at least one or two, I thought, against the Dodgers too. And then it was a game 5 where he had that heads up play. I don't remember the details, but maybe the Dodgers failed to call timeout and Murphy was on second and he kind of ran to third, or I don't remember the details of the play, but it was a heads up play for him to get from second to third, and then came home on like a sac fly or something. And that was kind of the deciding run in game 5 out in LA.
Yeah, it was a tight game, and I think that was not very high scoring either. So it was really, really, that was a tough one for the Dodgers to lose, certainly, but a great one for the Mets to win. And I think I do remember I think someone wasn't covering on the play.
Yeah, yep. Good
That's
call.
what I remember. And so it was just, yeah, that specific part was a disaster, but but the Mets took advantage of that situation and really came out ahead. So quite a scenario. Yeah. And that was the last, the Mets at that point made more World Series than the Dodgers from like 1988 until 2018. And the Dodgers happened to even the ledger, but that was only more recently. So it was kind of an interesting time to be a Dodger fan. It was before, it was before Cody Bellinger. It was before, was Turner even on the team at that point? I think he was.
I think Turner was, yeah.
Yeah. You're just starting out over there. So, I mean, it was a very different team, like compared to now. Like you didn't have Seager, you didn't really have it's obviously you don't have Mookie, so it was just, and Munch wasn't there. It was a totally different team. I think that the guys were like AJ Ellis, Wanu Ribe. Do you remember him? Like he was really big by then, but he had a knack for hitting curveballs. So yeah, just always interesting to reminisce. Very interesting. Who's left
All
over?
right, I'm gonna jump, guys. This was a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do it again.
Take it easy. Yeah.
All right. Good night, guys.
Night, buddy.
Thanks, man.
That was cool to hear from our friend. Oh baby. Anyway, guys, sorry to drag that out so much, but guys, Kev, any plans for you this weekend? And we'll just close it up.
Plans for this weekend? No, actually, this weekend we're gonna be probably like living out of the car. I put the house on the market, so we're doing a lot of showings. So we're sort of packing up a whole bunch of snacks, and just kind of, it's one of those things where they schedule them, and then the market here is absurd because people are wanting to get out of the city and different things like that, and there's just no inventory. So we put our house on the market yesterday, and we've got like 2 showings tomorrow, and to sort of have to be ready to take off for like half hour at a time. Do a lot of walks, bike rides with the kid, and just hang out, go hiking, maybe do stuff like that. Just staying around here.
Well, I wish you best of luck in that too. I know
because of the damn cat, my wife's cat. Friggin', if it wasn't for that cat, we could just go down and use our Marriott points and hang out somewhere. But this thing, you got to put in
really
thing carrier and drag it over.
A proverbial cat block.
The cat is a menace. The cat we would never sell the house. The cat would kill the people when they come in. It would just claw them to death. So we got to drive it down to their dad's house so he can watch it. Big pain in the ass.
I can imagine.
I was going to lock it in the garage, and then someone said that people want to see the garage. I have no idea why. It's a garage. So yeah, that's us. We're doing having a baby, selling the house all in the same time. I figure, what the hell? Just do it all at the same.
Do it all at once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Toro, any plans for you this weekend? And then we'll wrap it up.
Just trying to relax, man. I'm like drained from like work, and to be honest, like COVID, politics, the election. I just want to like disconnect this weekend and relax.
You should take a vacation. Like go somewhere, like remote, without people.
like one of those no tech retreats.
Oh
You could do
yeah, that's a
that.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the
an
way the
idea.
Yankees are going, am I right?
Okay, I don't-
I limit myself to one article about the election per night now. Like so,
I
I'll
think
just
that's
like
still a lot.
peruse the headlines and just pick one headline
Yeah.
to read, and then I put it away.
Yeah, it's
'Cause that's
tough.
enough. By the time,
Yeah.
and now I have to stop reading the comments because that just fires you up even more. I just can't. I have a no. Like I'm not doing comments anymore because I don't know where these people live or where they're. But some of them are just loons.
Kev, it's a bunch of deado heads without really real brains, I gotta say.
Are they real people or are they the bots that I hear
I
about?
don't
That
know.
I don't know what
It's hard
the
to really
bot is,
define
but
that. I had a bad moment on Twitter where I was just going after these guys. Or I don't like to do that, but there's just one day where I was pushed over the edge and I went after every single person on the timeline. I'm like, that was not a good look for me.
it's not worth it. Yeah, it's just, you get
No.
like you say, you
That
get too
isn't. I
stressed.
didn't get anything out of it. At the end of the day, I was like, what did I just do? Like, what
Right.
was that? Was that worth it? No, it wasn't worth it.
Dave going scorched earth.
It was. Yeah, Kev, you really. I was something. I was up.
That
to
was
no
like
good
his third IPA probably just went crazy.
Oh my gosh. I went after it in text with Timmy Russo. That was embarrassing. Oh.
Oh, you bring it off the board into your phone, into text messaging now. You're text
Well,
messaging.
he to be
the guy
fair, he
who's-
started a text. I understand. He was right though. He was right to be fair. But no, I did. It was bad.
Isn't he the guy who like owns the board, right? Sort of.
Yes.
Okay. I remember him. There's a Bill, right? Is his name Bill?
Yeah, his name's Bill. Yeah.
Okay.
He's
yeah.
He's the nicest guy too. I was just being.
Yeah, I was
gonna
gonna say. I was gonna say. I remember him from a long time ago. I think
Yeah.
he's kind of like Santa Claus. You're picking a fight with Santa Claus.
Yeah, exactly. It was stupid. It was done, and I told him I was stupid. I told him I was being stupid about it, and so I apologized to him not too long after that. And
you are rare in the sense where you do admit if you either made an error, or a lot of people just fight down to the grave thinking, trying to make people think that they're right even when everyone knows they're wrong. You turn around pretty quick and are able to move on, which is good.
Yeah.
It's actually a much healthier, stress-free way to live when you can just kind of let it go and
yeah,
say, all right, guys, my bad. I just came at that the wrong way, and move on to something else. You're good
That's
at
pretty
that.
much
You're
right.
good at that.
I
That's
mean,
why you have a big giant head of lettuce on your cranium, but without one gray hair.
it's
You're
kind
very
of remarkable,
contrite,
I
Dave.
must say. Yeah.
You're very
But Toro,
contrite.
you were a bystander for all that. I imagine most of that sounds right in terms of like me just pretty much picking a fight for no reason and
Yeah,
owning
but
up to
to be honest, though, like 6 months, COVID, intense social media, everybody is doing that nowadays. So
Yeah,
don't feel
that's true.
bad about
That's
it,
true.
you know.
people
That's
are
a good
getting
point.
snippy.
Like Junkie was saying, man, like it's like I try to avoid Facebook nowadays. I'm just like, you know, like the picture of what's his name, the Australian guy who interviewed Trump, and like the faces he was making, like those are the faces I make, like reading like some people I know's like opinions on things. I'm just like, really? Wow, okay. It's just
Yeah.
mind-boggling, and you get like I'm guilty of it too. Like I'll instigate or pick shit just because I'm like, so like, oh my god, like I've been home for like 6 months. Like damn, this shit's gotta like go away already, you know.
It's tough. It's just I don't know. It's I
It's funny
definitely
'cause
felt it this week.
it's one thing, you watch, some Fox News or CNN show, and some talking head comes out with this crazy theory, and you're like, okay, whatever. But then you go on these Facebook or whatever, and I've only recently signed back up for it. And then you're like, all of a sudden you read like your third grade teacher make some kind of outlandish, weird conspiracy, something. You're like, it's a different
That's the
feeling.
problem, though.
You know
That's
them.
the problem. Everything nowadays is a conspiracy, man. Everything, like,
Yep.
oh, everyone's in on it. Everyone's in on it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know.
It's tough to take. It's just like can't something just be? Do you have to make some? Does it have to connect to something else? It's like,
Yeah, like one of my cousin's mother-in-laws, who's this like sweet old lady. I got like a, the message, and it's like forwarding me something. Can you believe that the who was it? It was like the some faction of like communist Germany supporters are endorsed Joe Biden, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is saying or why you're sending this to me, but I don't care if you're who you just never do that again, ever. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even follow it, let alone do I care about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Or
thanks.
Wayfair child smuggling, or
Oh,
or
wow, that's a good
QAnon,
one.
or QAnon for that matter.
Yeah, man.
It's just like, oh my god, like people really buy into this stuff. I'm like, holy shit.
It's crazy, man. I didn't think so either. And then we took that job driving across the country and got to spend a lot of time in the middle of the country, and it's there's some
The
scary
heartland, the
there's some
heartland.
scary things out there. When Trump was elected, and my wife was like, I can't believe that happened, and I'm like, how can you not believe that? It was 2015. You and I drove through. That's when we saw Dave. We went from San Diego to Philly and hit every place in between. I'm like, we saw a lot of and met a lot of backwards thinking people. It was not a surprise to me at all. So
Indeed. Well, on that note, we say goodnight, everybody. And
Dave gets allergic when I bring up politics. So that's if you ever want to go to sleep, or if you ever have like a girl coming over and Dave wants you to be on the show, just be like, do a politics bit, and he'll run it out of there. It's an old trick I learned.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, I don't even want to get
don't
into
worry,
why
don't
that's
worry.
true, but it is true. Yeah, I'm not
It's
gonna-
fun to watch you squirm for a little bit.
You know, you're a good friend, and I totally respect that that ability. You are really good. You are really good at that, by the way. That's just good stuff. But I appreciate it because you know what? In the end of the day, we pretty much are on the same page in terms of like how we want to live and all that, and we're trying to be reasonable, and the rest of the world just isn't. So that's the frustrating part
It's all right, Dave. We got each other, man.
for sure. And we got Toro too.
That's
All
right.
right. Okay,
You guys
guys.
keep the board alive, and I do keep. It's good to push their buttons every once in a while.
Yeah.
Some of those old guys on there can use a good tweak every once in a while. Little
100%.
match up their ass every once in a while. They always could. It's been, the names have changed, but it's always leaned a certain way, and it's always good to see people stoking it a little bit because
Yeah, thanks for that, Kev.
yeah, it also makes for a better experience and a better.
No, it's more entertaining. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Yes.
So don't let them
Guys-
off the hook.
Oh
'cause
no,
I have
Never.
no idea when I'll be
Never.
back. Plus, I'm getting too old. I can't hang with those guys anymore either.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, guys. Well, take
All right,
it easy.
boys.
Thanks for joining this live show. This is fun, and have a good night. We'll do it again some other time. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, buddy. Take care, Toro. Take care, Kev. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, Dave.
See ya. And that's our program tonight. Thanks, everybody. It's good to catch up with you. We can update you on the Clipper game. Didn't really talk much about it, but it was not much to talk about. The Clippers are up 91-67 after 3 quarters. Domination for the LA Clippers in this game. So, fortunately, I think that we gave you more entertainment here on this program. I am Dave Medina. You can catch us on Twitter at DITCOW, on the web at DITCOW.com. We'll see you next time.